Hey y'all, welcome and welcome back to Babeinlibrary. It's your girl Lisa, and today we're filming for Novellathon. So we're reading all novellas for this week of October 14th through the 20th. This is hosted by Tiffany, Sam, Ava, and Rachel. I'll put the links to their channels down below. I am very dressed up because I am on my way to a wedding, but I did not want to forget to film this video. So I've been a little bit all over the place. They do have a number of prompts. You've got disability, you've got LGBTQ+, cozy, paranormal romance, monster, romance. You also have BIPOC author, your favorite drink, and a few other tropes. Now, I have read 4 books for this video. The first one was a 1.5. The second one was a 5. The third I did not rate, and the fourth one was a 5-star. So all in all, I'll say that this was a great week for Novellathon. Let's get into what I read. It is day 1 of Novellathon, and I am starting off with Taming Kane. This is a book by Tessa Stone. I've been seeing it all over Instagram. This is pretty much the hottest thing on the street when it comes to the paranormal shifter romance. So this is going to stand for the prompt of paranormal and BIPOC author. But of course, I'm going to read more than one BIPOC author for Novellathon. Now, this one I've been hearing mixed reviews about. A lot of people say that it is repetitive in nature. Now, I can kind of see where people are like, okay, just go ahead and mate already. However, I think that Tessa is doing something a little bit different from this and prolonging it, right? Everyone in today's society is just rearing to get to the smut. And I understand I am an enthusiast of smut as well. However, there's something to be said about the buildup and the plot. So for me, I'm very interested in this, even though I will say that the writing isn't unfortunately the most quality. I feel like there's a little bit of gaps, but I'm rolling with it. This story centers Kane, our main male character. He is an ancient creature, right? He is a part of a pack, and his brother is his alpha, right? And so back in 1000 AD, they were amidst a great war. And because the witches betrayed all of the other supernaturals, they were cursed by the goddess Fate. And Fate said, hey, you all are going to be put into the shadows. You're not going to be able to find your person if you're a werewolf. You'll live without your mate for years to come. You'll never age. And so Kane has been living with this curse this entire time. And so, right after the pandemic, when the curse was lifted, and so his brothers, 2 out of the 4, have found their fated mate, and he has resigned to never go back to his hometown where they have a community until he finds his mate. So, he is off Mackinac Island. And what I find very interesting is now the entire world knows about the supernaturals, but they do have their specific island that they are on, and they have a peace treaty with the government. And so, if someone were to find their fated mate, they would go to live with them with no interference with the government. And so, I like what Tessa is doing there. What I find interesting is that our female main character, it starts off in her, what is her name? Tammy. Tammy is a registered nurse. She is living with her best friend, who they are starting to drift apart. And it starts off a little bit heavy. It is a darker romance. Her best friend is actually dealing with some guys. She's involved in drugs, and they are about to start trafficking her. And Tammy is feeling like she's got to get out of there. She does not want to be the next one caught up in the mess. And so she flees the town, and she's like, okay, well, where can I go where I will be safe? Even if it's with the supernaturals, let me see if they will accept asylum. She goes there, and her cars run off the road until her wolf shifter mate, Kane, finds her, and he's like, this is my person. This is who I've been waiting on. And so it's really about him capturing her, taking her back home, letting her nurse herself back to health, and then trying to determine how to break it to her that she's his fated mate and that they need to be together. And so right now I'm about, I would say, 40% of the way through. I'm very interested to see how it goes. It's not, like I said, the best from a writing style, but I do like the creativity of the world in which she's building, the nature and the lore. I'm very interested to see because Tessa is making a big deal about whether or not Kane brings her back to his pack and whether or not he actually claims her. And for some reason, he feels like she is going to be taken away from him once she goes to be with the community. And so I'm very interested to see what his reservation is there, as well as how they wrap it up. Because, of course, as a shifter, he is very possessive over her. He's catering and nurturing, of course, but his job is to protect her, to care for her, and to serve her. And I feel like he's going to come back to the town and wreak havoc on the guys that chased her out of the town. So I'm very interested to see how that storyline wraps up and then see what else I pick up for Novellathon. All right, y'all. It is day 3. I am coming in to do an additional checkup. I think I'm going to do day 1, day 3, 35, day 7. So doing like an odd day schedule of a check in. I have just finished Taming Kane. I hated it. I love that for me. Way to start off Novellathon. I hate to say that because look at this cover. This cover is beautiful. It's stunning. It's gorgeous. It's perfection. I expected the inside of the book to match the outside of the book. It obviously did not for me. And I'm surprised because this was very, very hype. Like I've been seeing it all over Bookstagram, and I think that just goes to show you that what you see is not necessarily meaning that it's good. It just means that everyone is reading it. And this very much stemmed in that. And I hate it to say that because I'm a paranormal girly. However, I seen a comment that somebody said that this is giving Wattpad energy. And I definitely understand and agree. From a writing standpoint, the writing isn't strong. However, it did not have as many plot holes as I thought it was going to have. I think the biggest writing issue that I had was that it was very tell and not show. And I appreciate sometimes that you can tell us but I appreciate more when you can show us and I begin to believe it instead of you just telling me that this person loves them or this person telling me what the actions will be instead of letting the actions play out themselves. And that is pretty much what this suffered from a writing standpoint. However, my biggest pet peeve stems from the nature of like this book being told as like a keep her barefoot, pregnant, and dependent on Kane. Like Tammy was a whole registered nurse. She was a caregiver. She has a good, head on her shoulders from what I could read. And then when she got with her mates, he not only forced her to be dependent and was like obsessed with breeding her. And again, I understand that this is a shifter romance. I understand that there's sometimes a nature element to that. But the thought process of you can't cook for yourself, actually, I need to care for you, and I need to keep you pregnant at all times, not once, but twice and multiple times and times again. Like you're basically put on this earth to give us babies. And that should be your claim to fame. I don't like that. Like, I dislike so much of the conversation centers around babies and that being the entire purpose of this particular union between the two. And so that really did rub me the wrong way. However, I will say that this book did have really good social commentary. So I appreciate that one, it was told from an African point of view. So it talks about like Kenyan and South African. And basically, you would see that the author is making those distinctions because the characters would talk about humans and they would differentiate themselves as supernaturals. But it'll also talk about Americans. Granted, it's set in Michigan, so it's set in America, but that does not necessarily mean that the characters have automatically subscribe to the American way of being, and so that they would understand those nuances and how socially they talked about how in America women's rights are constantly being stripped away, and how in the supernatural community, women are revered, they are, protected, they are cared for, they are, everything is created with them in their comfort and mind. Whereas that's why so many women were trying to flee the US to go to the protected sanctioned areas of Winter Moon and Mackinac Island. So I found that that was very interesting. I found it the social commentary around radicals and how they were supremacists that truly believed that humans were better than supernaturals and that they needed to be eradicated. Again, very relevant to things that happen to today. So from a social commentary, I really did like this book. However, writing wise, character wise, there was some strange behavior that was going on in this book, particularly looking at Gabriel and how he had like this fascination, I'll say, with Tammy. Bro, that's not your mate. Like, granted, I know she is carrying your brother's seed and that you all have a difficult time conceiving even after you found your mate, but that's not your gal, bro. Like, give them space. You don't need to hover. This don't have nothing to do with you. That's weird behavior to me. I don't necessarily care for the book, but I did read it. I needed to make sure I got it through. I don't think that I'll be continuing with the series no matter how attractive the covers are. Now, because that was me taking a chance, rolling the dice, trying to see if there was going to be a book or a new series that I would like, and I didn't, I'm going to go to something that I know that is faithful to me. I'm going to read Love Never. This is a novella set in the Courageous Love series by Terreece M. Clarke. In July, I read Heartbeat, which is a prerequisite before reading this one. So you could read Heartbeat and then go to this, which is what I plan on doing. This novella centers the female character's parents. So in Heartbeat, the character's name is Maya. You learn a lot about her background and you get a glimpse into who her parents were, how their love story came about. And it's pretty much telling or foreshadowing what's going to happen in this book. So this is a, I guess, weekend love affair where the female main character, who is the mother of our female main character in Heartbeat, she goes to the small town and she falls in love with this motorbike male character, and it is their weekend romance that blossoms into a secret baby, which that baby becomes Maya. And you get to see how like they fell in love with each other and it was instantaneous, but why they couldn't be together or what happened. So I won't say that this has a happily ever ending based on what I know. So I could be wrong. I could be totally surprised by what Terreece does. But regardless, I plan on reading this because I know I like Terreece's writing style and I'm already invested in the story. And so I need something a little bit different. This is going to be used for the prompt of small town, and it's going to be used for the BIPOC prompt. I'm sure this is probably not cozy, but if I can squeeze it into that, I surely will. It is day 5. So it is Friday. I just finished watching Samantha and Tiffany on the Friday Night Live show. I'm about to jump into Shanika Higgins' costume Cutty. This is going to serve for my fall cozy vibes as well as orange on the cover. This is only 68 pages. It is the start of a fall inspired, a Halloween inspired novella series. So I may read more from this. The series is called Booze and Booze. I'm going to put that up on the screen because it sounds like it's the same. Trust me, it's different. But I didn't come to talk about that just yet. I will be reading that in one moment. But what I really came to talk about is Love Never by Terreece M. Clarke. Now, I told you all I needed to read something that I felt was going to lift my spirits after reading Taming Kane. And this absolutely did. This was a 5-star novella. Like, I boo-hooed. I sobbed like a baby after reading this. And granted, it's only 89 pages. This is a novella prequel to Heartbeat. Now, Heartbeat is what I read in July. You have to read that first before getting to this. And one of the things that I love that Terreece did is she said, hey, if you do the work to read Heartbeat, which is probably about 500 pages or so, if you do the work to read that romantic suspense, you deserve to know the backstory of Maya's parents. Now, Maya is our female main character in Heartbeat, and one of the mysteries were that we did not know how her parents came to be. She in that book didn't know about her father. She didn't meet her father until she went to Rough Ridge, which is where this is centered. Now, the interesting part about this is an unconventional romance, and I'm not going to spoil it. You need to read it to see that for yourself, because one of the things I will say is unconventional in the fact that we'll know in Heartbeat that our female main character, Maya, her mother, who is Elise, our female main character in this book, Elise has passed away. And she does not meet her father until she goes to Rough Ridge as an adult. So you may be wondering, just like I was wondering, well, how is this a romance? How is it a love story? This is in its very essence and in its very core a soulmate's love of a lifetime romance. This is something that you see that the characters love each other beyond life itself. It does have a little bit of magical realism in there, something that I very, very much appreciate. This is the second book this year that was magical realism adjacent or esque that I fell in love with and I cried about. So, and y'all know, anytime I can cry over something, it's definitely a 5-star or on its way to. This was everything I needed. Again, like I said, you need to read Heartbeat first, but if you do the work and read that, you will know that you are left wanting to know about Elise's and Smooth's relationship. Now, Elise is a graduate student. She is just finishing up her study abroad before doing her full job function as a professor at Ohio State. And her father, who had passed away, had gifted her 2 tickets for her to be able to travel anywhere that she wanted to. And one of those tickets was going to be into Colorado because she wanted to see this place where a lot of artists did really great work. And that was in Rough Ridge. And so she gets on a plane and she flies to Colorado. And she is trying to find a place to stay just because there is a motorcyclist convention there. And so she gets off of the plane. And let me tell you, this is throwback because she gets off the plane and she has to use a payphone. She does not have any coins. And so she's like, I need to figure out a place to stay. Now, our male main character, Thomas, who's known as Smooth Operator, that's his motor club name. Smooth is like, hey, this woman is captivating. She looks like she needs my assistance. Let me go ahead and try to capture her attention. He's like, hey, actually, there is a place that you can stay. I know it has some availability. I live in Rough Ridge. Let me give you some coins. You call them, and if they have availability for you, I will drive you on my motorbike. Now, one thing that Terreece does well is she does not make her female characters meek, quiet, timid, anything of the like. So in this, Elise is like, you may be fine, but I don't know you from a can of paint. What you will do is give me your ID. I'm going to call my mama and let her know, hey, this is the name, the ID, the address of the person I'm riding with. First and foremost. Secondly, she pickpockets this man and she takes his knife and say, hey, you may be hot and I actually may give you the draws, but if you decide to cross me and you decide that you think that you're finna gangbang me with your motor club, baby, I'll cut you. I will cut you. I'm like, ooh, Terreece, that's my girl. And so this journeys through their weekend romance. They only have 96 hours to be with one another because she has to go back, like I said, to become a professor. And in this, they have a whirlwind of a romance that develops a child. And she is torn about whether or not she needs to tell our male main character, and she falls in love with him. And trust me, he falls right in love with her. But their situations just do not align. But again, I said it's a romance, and it covers periods of time. And through those periods of time, you see how they have always been that person that they could hang their hat on to say, this was the love of my life. This is the person that I granted my heart to. And lo and behold, it becomes a full circle moment, because you do get to see how the love that they shared for one another really did blossom into the person that is Maya. And you get that full circle moment. And when I tell you, Maya Angelou quotes, "Love you for all of my days and then some after." Absolute perfection. I recommend this wholeheartedly and can't wait to read more in this series. Now to read Costume Cutty. Okay, Queen. Now, when I last checked in with you all, I had started Costume Cutty by Chencia Higgins. That one I did not rate. It was 65 pages or so it really wasn't too much to grasp. It caught my interest in the fact that the female main character was an event planner. She was planning a ball for this homeowners association. She did this to find herself a little bit. Her ex-boyfriend, she used to do events for him, and he would always tell her she could never do it on her own. So this was really her first chance to prove that she could do it on her own. Little did she know she was getting the help from a secret admirer named Ezra. Ezra was the neighbor of her ex-boyfriend, and so he has loved her this entire time, and he really wants to do something nice for her because he believes her, and he always wants to protect her and look out for her. So I felt it was interesting based on the fact that they were dressed similarly alike. She was Cleopatra. He was, I believe, like King Tut or something like that. I think that it was very, very cute and very quick. However, it tried to do a little bit too much. It threw in some drama that kind of fizzled out. I didn't really get a good grasp on it. Like I said, it was only 65 pages. It wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. All in all, would I recommend it? Probably not. I think there's some others in the series I heard that were better than this one. So if you want to check out the Booze and Booze series, I will leave a link for that down below. Now, what I do want to get into was my second 5-star of the video, which is known as Fucking or Loving. And that was by A Blossom. It is an erotica thriller. And you heard me correctly. It is a pleasure club centered thriller romance. You say, how do those two things go hand in hand? Let me tell you. So we have a second chance romance trope, which is something I absolutely love and adore. Jade is our female main character. She is exploring the pleasure club that, unbeknownst to her, her ex-husband actually is a silent investor of, and he has a really large ownership in the club. Now, this club is $100,000 to get in. Her ex-husband is a professional soccer player, but he's also a preacher's kid, and so is she. They've both been very, very sheltered. And so they broke up about 3 years ago because she had a child outside of wedlock. And our male main character, Rye, he just couldn't handle it. His heart was broken. He's always loved her, even though he's no longer with her. He did that because he felt like this was the biggest form of disrespect, and he couldn't raise another man's child. This is heavy. It has some dark romance themes. It has some really, really dark content warnings, so please be mindful. Now, our female main character, Jade, she was sexually assaulted, which is how she wound up getting her child, Milo. Now, please be mindful that that is not on page, but this is something that she is holding near and dear to her heart. She did not let her ex-husband know. She wanted to keep it a secret, and she's really trying to explore by going to this pleasure club because she now has erotic-phobia, meaning that she is really, really afraid of anything that has any type of sexual connotation to it. So her therapist told her to go try this club for a 2-hour pass. And there she is in a mask. She's in a costume. So it's centered around Halloween, I want to say, or some sort of costume party. And her ex-husband sees her and he's like, now what is she doing in here? Actually, bring her up. She needs to come see me. And she is no longer allowed into the club. And again, he is an owner, so he really has that stake and he has that claim. And so lo and behold, his attraction is very, very strong for her because, again, he's always loved her. But he decides to have an arrangement with her. He said, hey, I will help you. We will explore this club together. I've loved you, and there's nobody I feel more comfortable with exploring this club with than you. Seems like you want to have interest in this too, but we need to do it as though it's an agreement. This is a dom sub relationship. This is not us getting back together. This is not love. This is just to scratch our itch. And from there, they explore, their passions that was not in their marriage before. Now, there is a huge plot twist that happens in the book. So much so that, like, I damn near threw my Kindle across the room and had to scramble to get it. Like, I am screaming silently at 6 a.m. because the plot twist is that good. The thrilling is like no other. So if you want something that has a good spice, but also a really good plot, check out this book and you will not be disappointed. All in all, those are the 4 books that I read for Novellathon. So you let me know what your favorite was that you've read if you participated in Novellathon. If you have a spooky or paranormal novella that you would recommend, place it down below. And if you don't want to do any of that, leave me a mask emoji down below, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.